Well, we started with a manifesto. 7 of us wrote a manifesto of our intent, and that's evolved somewhat, a little bit. And 12 of us bought the property. That manifesto still is on our website, and it's basically about creating creating an environmental community and having an education centre. They're the three. That's to summarise it. So in a sense, we've kept to that in skeleton form. And the question for me, and I think for the community, is what do we need to do differently to respond to the future we're facing? So if I was designing community at Moora Moora now, I would design it much more communally. I would design it much more as a village. In other words, I'd ramp up the degree of commitment to each other in order to have the capacity to protect ourselves from the external threats, whether they be climatic or whether they be people, invading or whatever. The risk of social disruption and environmental disruption coming together and so forth. So I think we're recalled to be take more radical steps in community than we were 50 years ago. So that's what I would do. And more and more most people are not facing what's coming. We're all putting our head in the sand in one way or another. So the question is, what's appropriate design now, and how do we build on what we've created? So, Chelsea's talked about communal houses as one way. Clusters could become more communal, could become more committed to each other. It would be a stepping stone to that. Like, for example, sharing, like we talked about, an electric car that's shared. So, and the question then, how far do you go? Do you share partners? Do you share cars? Do you share washing machines? How do we communalise our economy to reduce the footprint and to reduce the cost so that you have more living here and so forth? So there are plenty of opportunities to do that, but are we up for it, to be so committed to each other to do that? And are the circumstances going to demand it anyway? So too bad whether I like it or not, I'm going to have to just learn to share. That's sort of how I see it. Call us to share more, not share less.
I think it's a really interesting time to be at Moora Moora because, the focus was on building. When I got here, there was a whole bunch of us building together and, and now it's like the bones are there and how we're going to flesh it out. And, there's a million opportunities in which way we could choose, but I'm seeing food security, a lot of that, thing happening, and preparing for climatic change. And, Peter's talking about, I think you're on the more radical edge of invasion, but I'm feeling more that, understanding the environment here to a level of, what can we produce if we really, if the shit hit the fan and we really had to be self-sufficient, how far off are we? So we're food mapping and doing things like this at the moment. And for me, that's the direction that I think we need to be going. And it always was, that was the original, reason that I came here, really, as I knew that, and we all knew that things are going to change in society, and I just wanted to be trying to create a self-sustaining lifestyle. And now, living here for so long, I realised that, with such a short growing period and such a, harsh environment in a lot of ways to live in, that we know what works and what doesn't work, and we've got to really invest in infrastructure and making it ready so that we can, just go off grid. Coronavirus was a good example last year, when the supermarkets were bought out like that and people panic bought, and it was ridiculous, like 2 weeks. If our systems really went out tomorrow, that's a very easy reality to foresee that, we might not be able to access fuel, and so I feel that we are in a really privileged position here to do it, and we really should take the bull by the horns and do it, so I'm quite excited about that. Yin has, your energy for it is really exciting me in that too. I think we're on the same wavelength there. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Got a lot of ideas for food sufficiency. Did a great audit of the tree and the fruit and nut trees yesterday with Phil.
Yeah, Annalise, Phil,
Everyone knows so much about trees.
Yeah.
He was delighted that you were interested. He was really pleased.
Yeah.
He's just so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And even having here, you know, we now have a mini solar farm, and we have 3 electric vehicles and 1 electric motorbike. I mean, these are invaluable assets in case petrol isn't available. You can still get around the valley. Yeah.
But, I mean, and the challenge is not the physical environment. We can grow stuff here. It's a question of the social organisation that's going to work. Communal food production is difficult. Sharing, I mean, so that's why the sorts of crops you have to grow and so forth have to be easy to manage and so forth. Don't have to be managed every day in order for have it some shed. So the social organisation and structure that matches that is the challenge.